Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Jairaj, M365 BDM from Ingram Micro Cloud. We have Robert Crane, Microsoft MVP, VP Director of CIA OPS with us today, who will soon take us through the certification program. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box and it will be addressed at the end of the session. Just to let you all know that Ingram Micro under our Cloud Elevate program is the only distributor offering MS100 certification. Ingram Micro are investing in building partner skills with the MS100 certification, which will help you understand additional ways that the products can be configured, which gives you the more opportunity to offer more services to your customers. Call to action is for partners to follow the course program online and attend Q&A sessions with Rob, and are required to take the exam by 30th of June. Those who successfully pass the MS100 before 30th of June, please send us the screenshot and Ingram will then reimburse $400 via Visa card. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you. Okay, so we're here to talk about the MS100 exam, which is a Microsoft 365 focused exam. Now, the reason that we need to look at these sort of exams and these sort of products is simply because it's driven by customer needs. So customers are looking to modernize their infrastructure. They're looking to move away from on-prem environments. They're looking to make the most of their investment in technology. Now, they're looking for partners. They're looking for professionals who are skilled in these products to give them the highest amount of ROI. They're looking to be able to scale these products, whether they are large or small businesses, to give them the flexibility. And importantly, in today's age, they're also under threat thanks to the security landscape that we face today. But at the core of it, what customers are looking to do is they're looking to transform their business. They're looking to digitize their environment. They're looking to move away from traditional ways that they have done business, to move away from things like paper, to move away from, again, doing things the manual way, looking to automate and to use the tools that are available basically in the cloud. So again, as mentioned, the majority of owners of businesses, those that make the decisions, are looking to move to our cloud-first strategy. More and more customers are looking to move their whole infrastructure, especially SMB, into the cloud and take advantage of the tools that are available from vendors like Microsoft. Again, it's going to require people who are skilled in the way to firstly migrate these applications and then help customers get the most from them. Now, with this changing technology comes a skill shortage. There is no doubt that there are not enough skilled professionals who are able to advise and to implement these technologies for customers. We see that time and time again with the requirements for professionals who need to understand things like Azure Active Directory, who need to understand things like the way that Microsoft licenses its products, and also to be able to manage and secure mobile devices as well. So in the world of the cloud, we need some sort of benchmarks that we can measure skill set, that we can make sure that people are up to the requirements of providing solutions, and customers want the security in knowing that the people they're dealing with do have these skill sets. So anytime that we see a new technology evolving, we see a shortage of skills, that should ring out the opportunity for people. So again, the ability to reach this opportunity is not something that's going to come walking in the door. It's going to take a commitment from those who want to take advantage of it to, again, improve their skills and focus on the technologies that are available. Now, what are the benefits of becoming certified? Well, there are many of them. The first is that you get a greater recognition of the skills that you have. So what we see today in the market is we have a lot of people out there who are claiming to be cloud gurus, who are selling products like Azure and Microsoft 365. but probably don't have the skill set across the entire product range. So again, don't forget that products like Microsoft 365 include things like Teams, SharePoint, mobile device management, Azure AD, a whole range of technologies. It's not just simply a matter of migrating emails and then leaving customers to their own devices and then moving on to the next email migration. Really have to make sure that the product is, again, tailored, is optimized, and is delivered to give the customer the best result for the investment in technology. And again, the ability to do this requires investment in knowledge, investment in time, and again, the recognition to achieving that is coming through certification. Now, again, the stats here will show you that people who are certified, again, can command a greater return. They can, again, demonstrate this knowledge, demonstrate their commitment, demonstrate the ability that they have invested the time to learn the product end to end, and that will give them a greater opportunity to be able to go and use those skills right across the range of products in Microsoft 365. So whether they choose to maybe specialize in security or work across the range, including device management and so on, there is a need to be able to do that. And again, employers are looking for a skilled individual to be able to do that, so they don't have to, again, waste money, waste time, waste effort getting people up to a minimum level to work with these sort of products. Now, again, the idea here is that people that are certified, again, add value to their business, they add value to themselves, they show that they are committed to the profession, and they are committed to ongoing education. If there's one thing that we know about technology in this day and age, it's the simple fact that, again, the items, the services are going to continue to advance, improve, add features, and that means a regular ongoing process. So again, it requires a discipline, investment in learning, a skill set that would continue to improve down the track and add the abilities as they become available through the products. So again, it's not just a matter of learning the new services as they come, it's about demonstrating that you have a process of ongoing learning to be able to accumulate this knowledge, to be able to implement it, and also apply it to customer situations. So again, the idea is that you not only benefit individuals, you also benefit those you work with. So if you are an organization that is selling Microsoft 365 and Azure, the benefits of bringing certified candidates into your organization means that you can receive benefits from the Microsoft programs. You're also going to have people who are up to speed and able to be applied and potentially go into additional revenue opportunities you haven't seen before. So again, it's more than just migrating emails now. It's making sure that the tenant is secure. It's making sure the customer gets the most out of structuring things like Teams. It's also about helping the customer understand how to automate and save money using tools like Flow. And again, these are tangible benefits. These are tangible skills that can be rolled into products and services that can be sold to customers to give you a differentiation from other people in the market who don't have that skill set. Also, it is interesting to note that with the constant changing of technology, many people are spending a lot of time trying to research things. What's this required? How's this? What happens here? What license does this include? So again, having that base skill set means that you don't spend such a large amount of time commonly searching for information. Really, that should be treated as a base level. The certification is going to make sure that people that you employ, people you work with, are at a level of knowledge that you can then extend that and go further. So again, rather than having to train people from scratch, rather than having to familiarize them, you'll know that they are at a certain level and their skills can be applied pretty much immediately. And as mentioned, the idea here is that once you have a certification, you'll have a skill set across the range of Microsoft 365. So that includes the business SKU as well as the enterprise SKU. That means you're going to be more skilled at things like Azure AD Premium. Where can that be applied? Where does it make sense? What options can be added thanks to Azure AD P1 to give the customer direct benefit and also generate revenue for the business? So again, if you are focused on the Microsoft technologies, a way to ensure that you are committed to that you do understand that, you can demonstrate that to distributors, Microsoft customers, and so on, is to, again, do the certification in the Microsoft technologies to demonstrate this and back up the claims that you have around focusing on the Microsoft technology stack. You also want to be able to distinguish yourself from your peers. So in a competitive landscape, if you look around, you'll find that many resellers, especially in the SMB space, are not certified, have never been certified, and generally have a hesitancy to actually become certified. So if you can take that and see that as an opportunity, do the requirements and complete the exam, then that's certainly going to stand you above the average when it comes to touting your skills. And as I mentioned, a lot of this can be directly translated into commercial benefit for the organization. So again, understanding things like Azure AD P1, which is probably something that you don't sell regularly, understanding the full feature set of things like the E5 licensing above and beyond the standard business premium can open a number of doors to additional revenue, additional opportunities that again can be on the traditional MSP, maintain the environment, but also extend the environment. Okay, what can we do with products like Microsoft Flow? How can we automate customers' environments to save them time, save them effort, and build a service, ongoing service revenue that we can generate benefit for our business as well. We also want to be able to be thought leaders here. Again, in a crowded field, as the field becomes more and more crowded, selling commodity style products. So again, take in mind that basically every other IT provider that you know of can sell Office 365, Microsoft 365 and Azure. And in fact, a customer can go out and buy that themselves. So then the question becomes is, how do you differentiate your business from every other business that's selling these products on the market? So again, the important thing here is, where's the value? What value are you adding to the base level product that would make customers choose you? And again, it's a matter of understanding the product and helping the customer use that in the best way for their business. That requires a deep understanding of the product as well as an understanding of the customer's business and melding the two together. Now, again, as we know that professionals in any market can command a higher base rate of salary. So again, when you want to, again, go and get something serious looked after from a doctor, you're looking to go to a specialist. The expectation is that specialist, again, has a very focused view on what they provide, but they can do that and then provide more. So again, you want to look at the opportunity here that focusing provides you the ability to improve revenue again. So rather than doing a greater and greater range of commodity items where you're competing with other people, there is a strong business case for focusing on a particular range of products, getting really good at them, and then being able to charge a premium in the market to provide those. Now, also remember that if you do choose to specialize in some of these technologies, not only potentially is the customer your end target, but also potentially other resellers. So if you want to specialize in the calling facility in Microsoft Teams or something else, you can take that knowledge and you can potentially resell that, white label it, and provide it to other resellers who maybe don't want to go down that path or don't have the skill set. So again, there is that skill shortage in all aspects of the Microsoft products, all the way through to business applications, CRM. All of that is an opportunity for people to step up and step into that space and sell their skills to a very wide audience. So again, Microsoft certifications traditionally have been very broad. They have changed a lot of these to be very targeted now. So there's far more certifications, which we'll look at shortly, that are targeted to industry aligned roles. So the MS100, for example, is aimed at an administrator of the tenant. You'll see that there are exams on Teams, there are exams on Exchange, there are exams on security and so forth. So rather than having a very broad exam now, we have a number of very focused exams on specific job roles. The idea here is that we want to be able to demonstrate our skills in a real world setting. So traditionally, the way that a lot of people have passed exams is to do the brain dump. So they've gone on board a brain dump and then regurgitated that information in an exam and hope that they will pass. What we see now in exams basically is you'll be given a hands-on lab style environment where you'll be taken to a screen. You will then be asked to perform a number of tasks using the web interface or PowerShell or whatever, and then when you're finished, you move on to the next question. So again, these aren't necessarily exams that are all going to be about multiple choice or yes and no. There will be the ability for you to demonstrate your skills by actually working in the console to demonstrate your skill set around the task provided. And what happens here also is that the credentials you earn with the MS100 can be added on with additional exams to, again, increase the skill set and show your viability in the full range of Microsoft 365 products. So if we look at the MS101 specifically, we see that it is aimed at the enterprise administrator job role. So again, the idea behind an administrator is typically managing identity, security, and compliance. Again, you will have to know the Microsoft 365 workloads. You will have to know things like Exchange, SharePoint, Skype, Teams, Windows as a service, the ability to deploy Office on the desktop. And again, you'll note in there that there will also be some knowledge requirements around what will be considered core IT items here, like DNS, Active Directory, and PowerShell, with hopefully a lot of people already have a skill set. So remember, this is an administrative exam aimed at how to administer a Microsoft 365 environment. That environment will include, like I said, everything from the Microsoft 365 Business all the way up to the Microsoft 365 Enterprise E5 range of features and products. Now, for those of you who may have completed previous Office 365 exams, so the 7346 and the 7347, those exams have now expired. There is no bridging exam that you can take to jump into the Microsoft 365 world, simply because now we are looking at such a different product. We are looking at the addition of things like Intune, Windows as a service, Office 365 ATP. So all of these additional items have been added to the product. So therefore, if you do have either of the exams, these have been retired. Now, these have been replaced with, like I said, a range of new Microsoft 365 exams that are more focused around providing a job role. So we'll see the MS100 is around identity and services. The 101 is mobility. So again, devices, Intune, that sort of thing. We have a 200 ones which are focused typically on Exchange. So again, setting up a messaging platform and doing hybrid messaging. The 300s are focused on Teams, SharePoint, collaboration, OneDrive, and so on. 500 is now the security exam, and you'll notice there are MD100 and MD101 exams that are focused on the desktop. So Windows 10 and managing the modern desktop, connecting a desktop to things like Azure AD, pushing out policies, procedures, all that sort of stuff. So you'll see now there is a significant range of Microsoft 365 exams that you can take depending on the roles that you see. Now, if we focus on the MS100, which is the top branch here, you'll see that it is focused on tenant and service management, identity management, Office 365 management, and again, you can complete that and receive your Microsoft Certified Professional qualification. Now, if you complete the 100 and also the 101, which is the bottom track there, which you see is focused on device management, security, and compliance, complete both of these together and you will then receive the Microsoft 365 Certified Administrator Expert. All right, so again, like the old MCSA days, do a couple of exams combined together, then you'll be considered to be a certified administrator. All right, so again, remember that the 100 is the beginning of the administrator track. There is a secondary track, the 100, which is focused more on device management and security that you can also do. Combined together will give you the enterprise administrator expert option. Now, as mentioned, it is important to appreciate that a Microsoft 365 solution covers Windows 10, it covers Office 365, and it covers the EMS services. So you would expect to see questions across this whole range of products. So again, things like BitLocker, things like mobile device management, questions on iOS and Android and policies. You would expect to see questions around Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, data loss prevention. Again, things around cloud app security. As I mentioned, Azure Information Protection, because Azure Information Protection is part of these SKUs. Again, a lot of this stuff that you will see incorporates all the way up to an enterprise E5 SKU, which includes things like Azure AD P2, so the premium version 2 of Azure AD. What does that include? How does it work? What do we configure? What are the benefits of it? So learning this product end to end from the business version all the way up to the enterprise E5 is going to give you a much greater appreciation and understanding of all the potential options in the family of the product here. So for some customers, that may mean that E5 with Azure AD P2 makes a lot of sense because it provides privileged identity management that allows you to escalate rights up to administrator level for a set period of time. So learning the product end to end is going to give you, again, a much greater revenue opportunity because now you'll be confident to be able to sell all these packages combined together to really provide good solutions for customers. So if you want to have a look at what the skills that will be measured in the MS100, you can go to the learning link here. And again, if you have a look here, the exam objectives are broken down into 4 major areas, the majority of which is around user identity and roles. So that's things like what's an average user? How do we make a global admin? Who needs the minimum rights to set up a SharePoint site? How is all this managed? Our next major percentage is on designing and implementing Microsoft 365 services. What makes sense in an Office 365 group? How do we set up shared mailboxes? What's involved in, again, setting up things like additional password security for users. We then have to look at our managed access and authentication. So we're going to need to understand how users authenticate. That reads as Azure AD. So how does Azure AD work? What features are built into the standard SKU? What features are built into the P1 SKU and the P2? How can they be implemented? What features? And why would you choose one over the other? So that's the important thing to understand here. Again, we're looking at a range of products from a business version all the way up to an E5 option. Again, what products make sense, what features are included and excluded in each set, and how is that applied to a customer environment. The final option you'll see is to plan Office 365 workloads and applications. That speaks a lot to rolling out applications on mobile devices, on desktops, onto terminal servers. How does all that happen? Things like the Office Deployment Toolkit, how does that work? How do we configure that? What role does that play in our environments going forward? So again, 4 major objectives broken out by percentage. Again, remember that's going to be the weighting of the exam questions that you'll see. Now, important as it is to know what is going to be tested is also knowing what won't be tested. All right, so there won't be any questions on the cost of a license or the cost of a SKU. There won't be any questions about how to purchase a SKU, clicking on links, credit card payments, that sort of thing. There's no questions around CSP, open or direct, right? So there's no licensing as it is, but you'll be expected to know what the SKUs include, what features they include, and what makes the most sense in a given situation. Any feature that Microsoft talks about that is in preview will not be in the exam. So again, make sure that you separate what is generally available from what is currently in preview or what is coming. Now, this is an administrator exam. Administrator exam is not an exam aimed at a developer. However, in the world today, we're moving to a DevOps environment where traditional IT pros should be under the expectation that there is more requirements for them to understand and work with code. So typically, you're going to have a good, comfortable knowledge with things like PowerShell, and also JSON, because that's how a lot of templates, that's how reports come back, that's how auditing logs are presented. Again, you don't need to know it. You won't be expected to write a 30-line PowerShell script to do something, but you will be expected to understand the syntax, be able to do some basic debugging, and again, be comfortable with a PowerShell style environment. So again, moving forward, the development of the IT Pro, again, is incorporating more and more software, especially around things like PowerShell and JSON, and you should expect to see potentially some of those questions in the exam. Now, for those of you who haven't done Microsoft exams of late, what you can expect is 40 to 60 questions, all right? So that will be determined when you sit down and commence the exam. Again, some questions are worth more than a single point. You won't know that, but again, some questions do have different weightings. Importantly, there's no penalty for guessing, so you should make sure that you answer every question, even if you do have a guess. So best practice, again, is eliminate the ones that are wrong, and again, pick from the options that are available, make the best guess from the options that are available. But there is no penalty for guessing a question. There's no negative results. The other important thing to remember is that some questions can't be skipped. So as you move through the exam, you may have a block of questions that you need to answer. When you move away from that block of questions, you cannot return to those questions, all right? So be very aware of the fact there will be a range of questions that once answered, you won't be able to return to and review. So again, we typically see that in case studies. We also see that in a number of questions that are one-offs. They will ask you a single yes/no question, and then they'll move you on to the next question, and you can't return back to it. So again, be aware of that. It is possible to mark items for review. So if you're not sure you want to review it, you can mark it for review, but make sure that, like I said, in some cases, you can't return to a block of questions until it is complete. You need to allow 150 to 180 minutes to do an exam. All right, so again, you've also got in there time for reading instructions and making comments and things like that. So roughly, probably around 2 to 3 hours is the time that you would need to look at to actually do the exam. And there are going to be more than just simple multiple choice questions, okay? So there's going to be areas where you need to build a list. So what are the list of PowerShell commands in order of what needs to happen, or what's the processes, or how do you go about doing a migration? What are the steps involved from go to woe? You will also get questions around the ability to drag and drop or select an active area on the screen. The performance-based questioning, as I mentioned, that's where you will be given a terminal environment. You will be given access to a Microsoft 365 console in the web or in PowerShell, and then you'll be expected to complete 7 or 8 tasks that you are nominated. So that may be something like, okay, we want you to go and create a user, change their password, assign them a license, and give them access to a SharePoint site. How do you do that? Please do that in the console on the left-hand side. You'll also get case studies. So you'll get case studies that talk about a business that have issues or have challenges around the business. Then you will be required to answer a number of questions, go through the case study and determine what's relevant and the best answer. And again, there are single answer questions which you may not be able to return to as well. Now, as mentioned, case studies. So again, you will have a number of detailed information before you start the case studies, and then you will have to answer a series of questions, probably 5 to 7 questions on this case study. Once you finish that case study, you will move on, and you won't be able to go back and review it. You'll be able to review it while you're in the case study, but once you choose or once you elect to move on, you won't be able to go back to the case study. And the case study is going to be focused around a particular need or a particular problem or a particular style of business, and give you a number of challenges that you need to solve in that respect. Now, as I talked about, the introduction of performance-based testing. So again, it's starting with the Azure exams. It's beginning to roll into the Microsoft 365 exams. You may or may not see this, but expect these to become more and more the case with Microsoft exams. The idea is it is designed to let you prove your skills that you are working with this product day in and day out, rather than having people do brain dumps and come in and pass the exam. So again, it's a practical, hands-on way to demonstrate that you know exactly what's happening here. Now, again, you'll typically see a label that with 7 or 9 tasks, as you'll note. So on the right-hand side, you're given a list of tasks to complete. On the left-hand side, you are given access to a management console, a Microsoft 365 admin console, and then you would need to work through and complete the tasks that have been assigned to you there. So again, the whole idea here is to test your actual real-world knowledge rather than just answering a set of multiple choice questions. Now, when Microsoft score the exam, they score it out of 1,000. The pass mark on all exams is 700, and that's a scaled score, so it's not 70%. So what that means is that some questions are worth more than others, some questions are worth less, and it's scaled against those who have taken the exam. So if you get an exam, set of exam questions that are tougher, then expect that to be scaled. You won't see, you won't know, but the idea here is again, don't think of 700 as 70%. Also remember that you need to pass each section, all right? So you can't just go in and get 100% in Exchange, for example, and then get next to 0 on SharePoint or something else, all right? So you basically need a passing score on all the 4 sections that we noted. Then the accumulation of those needs to be over 700 to allow you to pass the exam. All right, so again, the way they determine the cut score is based on the skills of the audience who do the exam. So this is constantly being adjusted and is based on the questions that are assigned to you. Now, the other thing to remember here is that when the exam starts, you are assigned your 40 or 50 questions on the spot. The questions aren't automatically changed over time and made harder or made easier based on your responses. You are assigned a set of questions at the time you commence the exam and you work through all those questions that are assigned to you. As noted, there is no points deducted. There is no negative points for any wrong answer. Okay, there's obviously 0 points, but there is no negative score taken away if you do get the wrong answer. And again, some questions you cannot skip. They basically will require you to have an answer, and the best practice is obviously to answer every question before moving on to the next one. So one of the other tricks here, or one of the other things to remember, is to make sure that you scroll through the whole question. You read all the options, because there may be more than one, there may be more information, and again, read the question carefully. It might say, what are the 3 requirements for this? And if you only pick 2, then again, you're missing out on the opportunity of getting a full pass mark for the exam. So with that in mind, here's an example, a couple of example questions to give you a feel for what you would expect to see in the exam. So the question is, you plan to deploy Office applications to your Windows 10 computers, but you are not yet ready to deploy OneDrive for Business using until internal testing is complete. You need to install all other Office desktop applications to Windows 10 computers. How should you deploy these applications? So again, we've got 4 options there. Again, we've got a website, we've got Office deployment tool, we can configure the downloads maybe in the admin center, or we can do device access in the admin center. So this is, again, just a normal Q&A. What's the right answer here? Read the question. Again, in this case, the option is B. We're going to work with the Office Deployment Toolkit, and that's going to allow us to create an XML file, which we can then use to push out the Office application less OneDrive for Business client to our desktops. All right, so that's a first example. Another example here is that you have a company that has a Microsoft 365 subscription with cloud-only user account. So again, very important to appreciate that in this world, in this environment, you may be facing questions around synchronized identity and ADFS or federated identities. Remember, we're covering the whole spectrum of what's possible with Microsoft 365, not necessarily just things that are totally in the cloud. But in this case, we have cloud-only users. The company works with a partner organization. The partner organization users sign in using an email address. You want to allow them access to SharePoint Online. You need to ensure the partners can successfully access the SharePoint resources. Again, your solution must allow the partners to manage their own password. So again, there's another key point in this question. The requirement for the partner organization to manage their own partners. What should you implement to do this? So again, we've got Azure AD Connect. We've got connected to the partners AD. We've got a B2C tenant. We've got guest accounts, and we've got ADFS. So in this case, we're going to create new guest accounts. This is basically Azure B2B. All right, so this is allowing external users into your organization. And the important thing is they get to manage their own logins and passwords and then appear as a normal user in your AD. So again, if you haven't done this sort of thing, these are the questions, these are the knowledge items they're going to test. All right, so another question here is you have a Microsoft 365 subscription. You plan to delegate permissions to your mail administrator so they can perform tasks in the Security and Compliance Center. You need to ensure that delegation does not allow the mail administrators to perform tasks beyond Exchange Online. So again, this is another one of these questions around what are the minimum set of rights to allow a user to do X. Yes, I can give everybody global admin rights. Yes, that makes things easy, but not best practice. So again, how do we configure our environment to ensure that we have the minimum amount of rights to reduce any security footprint? So the answer is here is that we want to assign our mail user the organizational management role to allow them to do, again, basically what they need. All right, so again, doubled up the slide here, but this is the stuff that won't be tested. All right, so again, basically what we need to appreciate and understand is the information that will be tested, which is specified in those in the skills measured in that link. So again, it's not any use learning that stuff that's outside that, because that won't be tested. Yes, it's interesting, yes, it's great, but it won't help you pass the exam. So the program that is being provided by Ingram is basically will kick off on the 17th of May. All right, and it consists of weekly check-ins and Q&A sessions. So once a week, there will be a Q&A session. Again, these sessions are designed for you to ask questions about the exam, about the topic, about the material covered. They aren't designed to teach you basically about Microsoft 365. That's your job. You'll get access to an online training portal that you can work through at your own speed. So what we've found with experience is that users have a different skill set, users learn at different levels, so putting that into an online training portal, they can learn at their own pace and then do a weekly check-in if they have any Q&A questions. Again, you'll get access to a dedicated Microsoft team, which means that you'll be able to ask questions in between, share information, again, upload files. You'll find a number of resources in the team, so that's designed for the period between the Q&A sessions to, again, keep you up to date and allow you to ask any questions. And you'll get access to an online course portal. So that means, again, you will have a number of lessons broken out by topic. You will be able to complete those at your own pace. The Q&As and additional training material videos will be posted up into there. So again, the Q&A sessions will be recorded and will be saved up into that portal, so you can review them if you can't make that session, but that is going to be your main learning tool. Now, what's going to be required is that you sit and pass the exam by the 30th of June, right? So we're now in early May, so we run for roughly 4 to 5 weeks with this training program. You'll be expected to sit the exam and pass the exam before the 30th of June. If you do, you will then receive the benefits, the cashback that Ingram has provided. That money should generally cover your exam, so there's no cost to do the exam, and it's also going to cover the cost of maybe doing some practice exams as well. So that's the aim of that, but it needs to be sat and completed by the 30th of June. And one of the requirements to make sure that you stay on track is that each week you'll be required to submit your weekly progress in a spreadsheet. So that's just a way to keep track that everybody is moving through the material, they are learning, they are keeping up to date. Of course, again, the idea here is you want as many resellers as we can to learn about the topics, but also pass the exam and make sure they're able to get that knowledge and also that certification. And that's simply required to, again, make sure that they do keep up to date and they are on top of all the material. Now, a suggested investment time to give you an idea of what it's going to cost for your time. So basically, if you look at it as a 4-week learning process, then the investment time is going to be roughly an hour a day. So you can either do that 2 hours every second day or a number of hours on the weekend, it's up to you. But as a rule of thumb, best practice for you to keep on top of this and keep moving forward and spend enough time learning this product, because there will be lots to learn here. There will be stuff that you haven't seen, you haven't done, you are not familiar with, that you will have to get across. That investment is roughly going to be basically an hour a day. So if you can lock yourself away for about an hour every night, do a bit of study, whether that's reading about the topics, playing with it, working with a demo environment, that sort of investment you'll need to make. Now, again, the way that this works is it's an inclusion only program, which means that you would need to apply to Ingram. They will approve you, and then you'll be added to the program. The idea is just because you may not be approved on this first run through doesn't mean you won't be approved down the track. Okay, so there's a limited amount of people that this program will take care of. And then the idea is once that's completed, they'll open it up again and run it again and improve from the learnings we have with each set of students. So again, at the moment, there's a limited set of places. It will be provided by application only. And as indicated, this is a program that is unique to Ingram. So with that said, basically, let me turn to any questions. So we have a question here from Vincent. Will we need to know the exact PowerShell codes for the exam? I would suggest to you that you need to be very, very familiar with PowerShell. The more you use it, the more familiar you will be with it. So yes, there will be some knowledge about what the actual syntax is. But again, like I said, you won't be required to write a complete PowerShell 30-line PowerShell script. However, you will have to know, for example, to load the modules, run the modules, and again, once you start using PowerShell, the way that it is crafted is pretty obvious. So get-new user, set-new user. It's pretty obvious. So the type of PowerShell exams are going to test that you understand the way that PowerShell commands are set out, but not a specific knowledge of exactly what the PowerShell commands do, but you will need to be comfortable using them. So my advice to people is if you haven't used PowerShell, you really need to start using it. If you're used to creating users in the web console, try doing it with PowerShell. That is the best way to understand and learn it. So PowerShell, yes, the expectation here is that you are going to need to know what the commands actually do, how to construct them, drag them, drop them into a sequence so you know which run is required before other ones. But again, you won't be required to write a script from scratch, but you certainly will need to have an intermediate or better knowledge of PowerShell. Simply copying and pasting will not get you through this exam. You need to be much more comfortable with that. So hopefully that answers those questions. Let me see if there are any questions. So again, if you do have a question, please type them into the chat box and then we'll answer them. Are there any other questions while we are waiting here? So what I might do is I might continue on and allow Christina to finish off and to round off, and if there are any questions, I will take them. But there is one more from Sean here. Do we get access to the test environment in the course portal? So I'm not quite sure what you mean, the test environment. If you are talking about the test exams, you would need to purchase it. Typically, you purchase that when you purchase your exam. So you would buy the exam plus a number of test exams, and that amount of money is what will be refunded to you from Ingram. So the training does give you a number of, example style questions, but to get the true exam environment, you need to purchase a practice exam, and that's what the cost that Ingram will refund you upon passing is provided for. So again, you typically purchase the practice exams at the same time you purchase the exam as a bundle. And that would then be your cost initially, which would be refunded upon successful completion of the exam. So hopefully that answers that question from Sean. Let me have a look here. Another question is, can we get a copy of this presentation? Yes, a copy will be provided for you once it has completed. Sean says, if I'm looking to get started on the Microsoft 365 certification path, I noticed that this is the expert certification. Should I do the associate? So there is an MS-900 exam, which again is a basic introductory exam. Yes, you can do that. It's basically cheaper. But my advice to you is if you are an IT pro, I will be starting with the MS-100, the MS-101. The MS-900 does not add to the expert level certification, right? So to become an expert level certification, it's a 100 and a 101, a 200, a 201, right? The MS-900 is just really designed for those people who aren't so technical, maybe managers, maybe some sales people potentially that want to get a bit of a more overview of what Microsoft 365 is. Can you do it? Yes, if you want, but if you're an IT pro, I would be looking at the MS-100 and 101 exam as the place to start. I think that's all the questions we have at the moment, Christina. So do you want to round off and just let people know, and I'll see in the background if any other questions do come in.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Rob. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. Wishing you all the very best in successfully completing MS 100 certification. If you need any further info on the program, feel free to contact me, and have a lovely day.
Okay, so I don't see any further questions that have come in. So again, if you do have any questions, please refer to Christina or talk to your Ingram rep. Send them through. We'll make sure that you get a copy of the slides. But again, thank you very much for attending this webinar, and hopefully you will apply and become certified in the near future. So again, thank you very much for attending.